Hey everyone, it is fantastic to be here with you today. What a wild world we are all in the middle of this COVID, doing some remote conferences. This is tight. It's amazing that we can be creative and make this happen. So thanks for being here with me. I am Matthew Smith from Really Good Emails. We are at Really Good Email on Twitter, where you can check us out. You know, apparently we hit that max limit for Twitter, so we dropped that S. But also you can find me at Whale on Twitter, and I will tell you the story of how I got that if you like. But I'm available for any questions. I really like to be an available person. So let me know if you have any questions out of this. I am super excited today to talk about how to take our shitty emails to not just really good, but unicorn good. And I used to have, the poop emoji here, but I think these days with COVID, this one feels more appropriate. So I'm super stoked to talk about that today. And we're going to do that through the frame of the mental inbox. This is something I've been thinking a lot about. About 4 years ago, I started a wild journey. I quit drinking and I have been sober since. And I've been on this wild journey of really trying to understand what's happening on the inside. And this incredible thing has happened. As I've done that, I've begun to understand its impact on the way that I work as an individual, on teams, and how I impact my customers and people who use the products that I build and the services that I render. And so that's what this is all about today. We're going to talk about how empathy for ourselves opens us up to empathy for others. That's that journey that I've been on, and I'm excited to get into it with you. Let's start by figuring out who's feeling stressed. I know I am. I have it every day. I know because I have this weird experience where I forget to breathe. And so I'm sort of holding my breath while I'm working on things, and it's a good indication that I'm stressed. Maybe it's, wondering where the next project is coming from, wondering what's going to happen with the colleague of mine who has to take a break and that work is going to land on my shoulders. What is it for you? What's causing you some stress? Do you have kids at home and you're trying to figure out how to school them during COVID? Do you have some older relatives who are experiencing some duress because of what we're going through? Maybe you're feeling anxious about some of this. Maybe there's something at home, something at work that is causing you that. A lot of people are these days. Maybe it's even fear. I know I feel some fear. What's coming? How long will this last? Where are we going? And this is just in the middle of COVID. But of course, we're not the only ones feeling these things, right? Confused? I know I am. Maybe you are, but also our customers are, right? As human beings, we're having this incredible experience across the globe where almost no place on earth is not affected. And, we are experiencing this thing that is really bringing us together in some ways, or we're having a common experience. We're also having a really difficult, challenging time as a country and a world politically. Things are very challenging right now. That's causing a lot of feelings, right? Maybe anger is part of that. No matter where you are on your political spectrum, anger is a big part of what people are experiencing. And that means your customers too. And as we have empathy for ourselves about the feelings that we're experiencing, we can begin to map that world and understand better what our customers are experiencing and how to serve them, including things that are positive, like or maybe more enjoyable feelings like excitement. But we also have negative feelings that people can experience because of embarrassment or ashamed or feeling ashamed or, some tough emotions that I just went through. So this is just a really interesting field of things that we can get into. The thing I really want you to dial in on here, there are only two ways to deal with emotions. We know this, right? You either handle it like Stewie, you sit naked in front of a fire, relaxed and chill, and you just don't give a damn. Or you completely lose your shit, right? False. That is completely incorrect. We know that. The world is not full of binaries. You are more complex than that, and your customers are more complex than that. We know this. So let's practice some equanimity. What does that mean? How does that relate to not living in the binary? Well, let's read here. Equanimity is about mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. She accepted both the good and the bad with equanimity. I like the sound of that. Let's dig in. Neat idea, a-hole, but let's be practical. Okay, I'll show you. Don't worry. Let's clear our mental inbox. So if we're going to start mapping out emotions and thinking about our customers and what they might be experiencing in their own lives, and then how we can, as marketers, as people dealing with email, as people dealing with messaging, how we can clearly communicate with them in a relational way, we have to first start with us. And that allows us then to begin practicing the field, the science, the art, the recognition of what's happening in the mental inbox, in the mental picture. And when we get better at manipulating or really understanding and then being able to change or respond to our own emotions and our own reactions, then how much better do we get to be able to understand how to serve others and the reactions and the emotions that they're having, right? So we do that through mindfulness. This has been a big part of my journey, and I'd like to introduce some of you to it, and some of you have already started this journey. It's about being present with people, places, and things as they are, yourself as you are, without evaluation. That's the big ticket, right? Like that's the thing that makes the big difference. Being present with these other people, places, and things, yourself, without evaluation, without sorting yourself or those things into good and bad, right and wrong, and beginning to see them just as they are. So let's start by just breathing, okay? So take a minute wherever you are, sit up in your chair, maybe even stand up if you have been sitting for a while, but I want you to be comfortable. Put your hands maybe on your legs, bring them to rest, find your center, and then let's breathe. So 3 big, deep breaths. Let it out. If you've done yoga, this is all par for the course for you. Big, deep breath. One more. Fantastic. Feel yourself resetting. See if you can sort of sense where you are. Recognize what you're feeling internally right now. Do you feel stressed? Do you feel excited? Are you happy to be here? Are you annoyed to be here? Did someone else ask you to attend this talk, or did you want to? What are the things that are coming up for you? Can you feel the weight of your butt on the seat or your feet on the floor? Do you feel your hands on your legs? Recognize all these things. Be an observer. Just note it. You can even note to yourself in your mind, hands on legs, feeling of discomfort, feeling of excitement, feeling of discernment. Just recognize it and allow it. Allowing is about, okay, this feeling, whether it's a feeling that is comfortable or a feeling that is uncomfortable, including things like something feeling cold or something feeling hot or something feeling neutral. You just allow it. It's just there. It doesn't mean that it's going to be there forever, but for this moment, there it is. I don't need it to go away. So this is an especially helpful tool if you've just heard a note from your boss. You got an email that said, hey, can you meet me in my office in 5 minutes? I don't know about you, but those emails, those little messages, they send me, and my brain goes, like my amygdala gets hijacked, and I immediately think, oh God, what have I done wrong? And that's just a reaction I have. Not everybody has it, but a lot of us do. And so imagine that feeling, if you will, and imagine being able to just allow that feeling. Doesn't need to go anywhere. You can just observe it. Turn it around. Look under it. Look over it. What does it look like? Where does it come from? Can you be curious about it? Just allow it. And then begin to investigate it. Like I was saying, sort of turn it around. See what's there. Maybe you can ask the emotion, what are you hoping to help me do? You can ask it if it has a name. You can play a little bit curious child with it, and you can say, hey, do you want to sit and have some tea and talk with me? Let me know what's going on. You can just get to know it a little bit. And this is all about curiosity right here. And then this really interesting thing. If you are willing, you can nurture that feeling. So, yep, for some of you, you are rolling your eyes super hard right now, like they're almost going back into your skull. You want me to nurture this feeling? Yeah, I do. In the same way that some of you are, unbelievably powerful in your bodies and you're able to do some CrossFit shit and it's freaking nuts and amazing. This is where you get a hold of your brain, where you start to really be able to be more in control of the way that your mind reacts. So when you can start to make friends with what's actually happening in your brain and your heart and your mind, your emotions, by nurturing them. Okay, this interesting feeling, this feeling of excitement, this feeling of anxiety, this feeling of stress. You can say to it, hey, I know what that's like to be stressed, and it's okay. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to disappear. I think I've discerned that you're here to try and help me change. If I feel stressed, maybe you're trying to get me to not have as much stress. That feeling of pressure. It's trying to say, hey, this feels uncomfortable. Let's change. Let's do something different. Whereas, feelings that feel like really good, like a hot shower, that's our body saying, this is good. This is relaxing. Let me stay here. I want more. Sometimes uncomfortable feelings are there to say, hey, let's change. So you can actually nurture that feeling. You can take care of it. You can say, it's okay. Let's hang out. And the more that you do that, you're actually changing your brain one little step at a time. It's called neuroplasticity. Incredible. That is how we exercise our brains. This process is called RAIN. Recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. It's by a woman that I follow named Tara Brach. Awesome meditation teacher. If you don't like that RAIN, acronym, you can also use feel, accept, research, and tenderize. FART by my good friend Matthew Lloyd Smith. All right, what else can we do to get to know our insides? We can use observation without evaluation and treat sensation as ephemera. This is freaking cool. So next time, especially an uncomfortable emotion comes up, you can observe, like this guy, awesome, and you can get into this rhythm. Let's stay with him. You can get into this rhythm of really being able to observe what's going on around you, and then also within you. So if you feel an anxious feeling, put your hands on the desk. Feel what the desk feels like. Maybe pinch your thigh and feel what that feels like. Maybe notice in the room the colors of red or white or brown or whatever. And then you start to make the emotion you're feeling inside just another observation, just like the colors you're seeing. That's really powerful. Then you can also shake your body. So right now, I want you to get up and let's act like this guy here and just shake it off. See if you can shake. No, Do it. Come on, get up. I know some of you are still sitting. Let's stand up, shake it out, and see if you can feel that sensation in your body. It is a way of resetting biologically. Not just getting water off of our bodies like this character, but it actually, you've seen dogs do this where they shake really hard suddenly. That is a way of resetting biologically, and it's super powerful. It's a cool way of kind of connecting with what's going on inside of you. Another way to regulate is to get grateful. Think about the things that you're happy about, that you're grateful for. Not long ago, I was in a meeting where a guy told me that he had to have all of his teeth removed and was having to get a full denture set. And I had never really thought about how challenging that would be. And it made me incredibly grateful for the teeth that I have. And there's always something, right? Like just think about like your feet or your hands, or your skin or, your eyes or whatever it is. And just see if you can find some gratitude. That's a really great way to regulate. Now, we've spent some time getting to know our own emotional bandwidth, our own emotional space, our own mental space, this mental inbox. How does this affect, our customers? That's what we're here at this conference for, right? So how do we think about active empathy for the customer, creating a bonding, loyal, and valuable interaction? Let's get into it. People won't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. Maya Angelou. People ignore design that ignores people. Frank Camaro. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Theodore Roosevelt. I want you to think about these things, and as many of you are starting to think, oh man, this emotion stuff, this empathy stuff is just a load of shit. Well, think about relationally how you connect with other people in your lives. If you were to relate transactionally with your mom and dad, with your significant other, with your best friends, with your colleagues, completely transactional, in the same way that many of us are marketing to our customers, how positive or valuable would your relationships be? I think they wouldn't be very valuable. We already know this intuitively, and yet we relate differently to our customers. Think of how much power we can have when we start to relate to our customers truly relationally. Like, do you know them? Do you know what's happening with them? Do you know how they're feeling? Do you know the things they're experiencing? Do you know what sucks in their lives? Do you know how your product or your e-commerce or whatever it is you provide, do you know how it's serving them or could serve them? You get to know this through qualitative research. We do this through interviews, ethnographic research, surveys, or process observation. Let's talk about one specific way I think is incredibly powerful to get to know our customers, empathy maps. This is a basic layout of what an empathy map is. It's from IBM in this case. We think about what our customer says, what they think, what they do, and what they feel. In this case, Rafa, a developer. All right, so what do they say? What do they think? What do they do? What do they feel? We get to dig into each of those areas and see what these different feelings are, right? This is so powerful to be able to understand these different parts of how they relate to the world. And the reason why this is so important is because we get to see, for instance, our customers and what they're thinking and feeling and relating to and they're doing, and we get to map them to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So many people right now in the world are thinking and feeling and experiencing things down in this red and orange level of physiological and safety needs. And they're moving up into this orange level. And we're in that space because of the trauma that's going on around us politically, the trauma that's going on around us in terms of COVID. And it's causing us to spend a lot of time here. And as a brand, as a tool, you can meet your customers in that space. It's extremely powerful. All right, so what does this look like? Look at how you can think about what Rafa is saying, right? Like, what are the things that Rafa says on an ongoing, basis, and put things in that category. You do this as a team. You can use Miro to do this. You can do this on a physical whiteboard someday when we are not remote anymore. You can, put your sticky notes into what Rafa is thinking, what Rafa does, and what Rafa feels. It's such a powerful tool to be able to segment these out. And then we're going to look for patterns and stay curious. So what we do is we begin to map these out after working together to put these sticky notes up, and we look for these patterns, right? Things that stick out, and we begin to talk about those patterns as a team. We discuss and validate them. In other words, we say, is this right? Does this feel accurate? Is this what they're feeling? Do we have any surveys that can validate that? We look at these patterns that are emerging, all right? We say things like, is this real? Okay, what keeps him up at night? Now, you know them more. What do you do with that now that you're beginning to map them out and really understand what they know? How can you serve them better with that information? How do you improve your own relationships? This is the thing. Like, think about this. How can we serve our customers better? This is a constant topic, right? But I often like to ask people, well, like if your significant other came home exhausted from work, would you say, hey, I really want to play Scrabble tonight? I doubt it, right? Like, if they're exhausted, Scrabble is a fairly taxing mental game. I love it, but not the best for somebody who's exhausted, right? Instead, you might say, hey, can I cook dinner for us tonight? Or how about I order out? Or, when you're ready and you want, I'm here to listen to your day. Just tell me what's going on. You know this, right? The more that we get into understanding how to love people, the more that we get attuned to what they need. Well, how do you improve those relationships? You know this. Well, think about then how you can tie that into your marketing, your messaging with your customers, right? You can be consistent. So think about the way that consistency in relationships serves the relationship. If I'm always telling my kids something different, then that inconsistency creates real confusion, in the relationship. But when I'm consistent and I have consistent boundaries, or I'm consistently loving, or I'm consistently giving them, the same kind of information, like we have the same kinds of chores, or I'm consistent in helping them get to bed at the same time every night. These kinds of things are experienced as care. Think about how you can be consistent for your customers. Think about how you can observe your customers and listen, right? So you can ask them questions in a survey. Hey, here's some new information we had this week. Is this information that you would like to see more of or less of? And you can basically segment your audience using those kinds of questions. You can also just observe if your audience is consistently, deleting your emails or unsubscribing. You're seeing that your content is not the right content for them. Now think about if they're unsubscribing, it obviously isn't. If they're deleting, they still want something from your brand, but they're not willing to unsubscribe yet. That's a really interesting segmentation you can put onto your, email list, and then begin asking those people how you can serve them better. You can listen either passively or actively. You can ask questions and be responsive, right? So again, you can ask survey questions. You can actually, just ask people through information. You can provide people a set of, visual cues. Hey, for instance, there's a group called reverb.com, and they have some good examples of, used instruments that they're selling to their audience. Well, for a long time, they just sent out, all of the instruments to everybody. Instead, they started to know, oh, this persona is a drummer. This person is a guitarist. This person, is into string instruments. So let's get more particular with what we're sending them. And they were able to discern that and segment based on what people were clicking on. And so if you're actually tracking events, that's a way of listening and then being responsive and changing what you're doing, personalizing those emails. So for instance, if my girlfriend comes home and I start to ask her about video games all the time, she's going to look at me like I'm batshit crazy. She has no interest in video games. Why would I do that? That feels really impersonal and actually like very unloving and disconnected. Instead, if I say, hey, what are you learning about, Japanese cooking? She loves that. And she wants to talk more about it. She wants to dig in. Or if I say, hey, how did your day go, with work? She's connected. She wants to talk about it, So I can know her and then respond with the right kinds of information. And that can happen with your customers. Then you can also mirror back what you're hearing, right? So a big thing with relationship is being able to say when somebody speaks to you and they say something to you, whether it's a critique or some feedback or something they're experiencing, you can say, hey, here's what I think I heard you say. And you say it back in your own words and you try and get it as close as possible. You're looking for creating understanding. You want to show them that you understand or that you're trying. This is a really cool tool within email. So you can say, we think that these are the kinds of products you're interested in. Are we getting this right? Or should we change it, to something like this? And you can allow people to adjust their settings or adjust their personalization, but you're actually mirroring back to them what you think you heard. Or you can, if it's in a survey response or something like that, you can say, hey, we've been hearing this from our customers that they are looking for more of this and more of this. We heard that and we, are here to make these changes. And you can say, if you have anything else to add to that, to clarify that, please let us know. That kind of mirroring really helps people feel listened to and like you're actually responding. It's a powerful way of creating loyalty and value and connection. That's bonding. That bonding is actually oxytocin in the brain being released and creating that connection between you and the customer. That's incredibly powerful. It's the same hormone that's released when a mother is holding her child in both of them, that bonding, or when a father or a caretaker is bonding with a child, that oxytocin is being released. When we have deep friendships and we have risk and then we have safety, we have oxytocin being released, and it's creating bonding in our friendships and in our communities. Really cool stuff. So another thing is we can align our words with our actions, right? We can show people, if we're going to say we want to be the simplest and best at XYZ, well, then, make your emails simple, right? If you have busy emails, but you're saying that you want to help people save time, man, that doesn't make any sense. One of my favorite examples is this company called Thumbtack. Their emails are really succinct, and their whole brand is about having other people help people with services to save them time so that they can go spend more time with their families, etc. If those emails looked like crap and then they were busy and hectic, that would be antithetical. So the alignment of their emails, their branding, their typography, the hierarchy, all of that aligns with what they're saying. Actions, aligning with words. It's awesome. You can also show compassion. So as you are probably feeling some of these interesting challenges in the middle of a pandemic, that is just this low level stress that all of us are experiencing, or most of us, I think, you can actually kind of own that in some of your emails and see if you can connect with some compassion. Talk about the way that you're feeling and say, hey, I don't know if you're also feeling this way, but if you are, we just wanted you to know we feel for you, and we're here for you. If you have any questions or comments about how our products or services are, here to help with that, let us know. But you can just be human and show that compassion for where people are at. If you have some negative feedback, or if you have a support call or customer support issue, one of the most important priorities in your customer support is just to say, hey, that sounds rough. I'm sorry you're having that tough experience, especially in the middle of a pandemic when things are already stressful. Right there, in just mirroring back what you think you heard and showing some compassion, you're winning the day. create clarity. So a lot of times people and customers in their experiences with products or services are just feeling some confusion. And if we can create clarity in our user experience or in our emails, in the messaging, by just really creating a clear path, we really serve them. And that service is felt and creates that bonding and connection. A good example is that back in the day, FedEx did not have tracking and UPS did not have tracking on shipments. We would order something. Many of you are not even old enough to remember this like I am, but you would order something on the phone. You would like mail order it. I want, this from this REI catalog. I'm calling in, I'm ordering it. And they say, cool, it'll be there in somewhere between 6 to 10 weeks. But if you're going backpacking, in 8 weeks, it's like, dang it, I really want to know if that's going to arrive in time. And so, that was confusion. All I needed was some clarity. And that tracking now creates clarity. It helps me know, what, it's going to be late. And that's okay. It sucks, but at least I know now. That clarity is a real service, right? Or it's going to be on time. Cool, I can relax. But that clarity is what we need in our customer relationships. We can also be honest, right? Like if it is late, like just show it and be late. If we're behind schedule, if something is out of stock, if we made a mistake, be honest. That honesty, it creates this sense of reality, right? If we are deceitful, then people can feel it. It's a sense of like, this doesn't feel accurate. I feel confused. And our brains are extremely well attuned to picking out that sense, like our spidey senses, right? Like this doesn't feel right. But when we're honest, it helps people feel like, okay, I really feel like I can trust this company because their honesty is helping me know that, hey, they're just like me. We all make mistakes. But stay curious. So in all the things with your customers, with yourselves, keep asking yourself questions. How can we improve? What is the customer feeling? How should we think about this situation? How can we be more effective here? Is there a different way that we should be looking at things? Can we stand on our heads and think about this uniquely, right? Stay curious. It's a powerful, powerful tool. And then lastly, if you say you're going to be wildly hilarious and a little bit rude, you need to do that. Like this here, Family Guy episode, one of my favorite gifts of all time. God, that's awesome. Let's watch that again. Oh, here it comes. Nasty. Well, I try and follow up with my word. I am a little bit rude. I have a lot of fun. I hope you've had some fun learning here with me today and doing some mindfulness meditation. I love exploring all of this emotional world, relational world. The last thing I want to leave you with here is that my belief is that email is not marketing. Email is relationship designed. Thanks so much for coming and being with me. Be really good. Have a wonderful, wonderful experience at this conference. And I will be around for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes for some Q&A. Would love to dig in on this with you and talk through how you can get to know your customers' mental inbox. Thanks so much, everybody.